Questions my students have asked me about God. Number 4. Was the world really created in 7 days, or is that just a metaphor? To answer this question, we have to recognize that there are 4 main arguments for the origin of the universe. The 2 creationism arguments are old Earth creationism and young Earth creationism. Old Earth creation is exactly what it sounds like. It's creation, but the Earth is really old. In other words, the 7 days that are described in Genesis 1 don't refer to 24-hour periods. Instead, they stand for thousands or even millions of years. This is called day-age theory, and it's based on a Hebrew word, yom, which is the word for day. This word doesn't always mean a 24-hour period. In fact, it can mean a very, very long time. Think of this like in English when we say, back in my day, or one day in the future I want to. We're not talking about a 24-hour period. We're talking about a chunk of time. Here's the catch. The Hebrew word yom, the word for day, when it's coupled with a qualifier, that means something that distinguishes the amount of time we're talking about. Whenever the word is coupled with a qualifier, it never means something other than that qualifier. So when the Bible says there was evening and there was morning, the first day, the second day, the third day, and so on, that's the qualifier. It was, in fact, a 24-hour period of time. But that's not the only evidence that we have. In fact, Genesis 1 isn't the only place in the Bible that refers to the 7 days of creation as actual days. In Exodus 20, verses 9 and verse 11, it says this, it says, 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, for in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, but he rested on the 7th day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. So God sets up our work week based on his work week in creation. But you may ask, what about science? What about things like carbon dating or radiometric dating or things that can test and say, this thing is thousands of years old or millions of years old? Or what about things like the stars in the sky, how we look up and we can see them, stars that are millions of light years away. It would take millions of years for that light to reach our eye. And so doesn't that suggest that the universe is in fact millions or billions of years old? My response is this: not necessarily. You see, when God created Adam in the garden, he created him as a mature adult. The same thing can be said of the animals. God did not create the animals as embryos or as eggs in order to grow up and develop. When God created, he created them to be mature. So just like Adam and the animals would test as mature when they were only a day old, so our universe would test as mature when it was only a day old.